Legally in Love, written and narrated by C. Taylor, edited to meet YouTube guidelines. To purchase the unedited book, please click the link in the description. Chapter 11. From Emma's perspective. Emma didn't say anything, didn't know what to say until Andi sat with her on the couch. Andi leveled a stern look at her, then pulled her in to hold her. Emotional walls crumbled, ones she didn't even know were up and had been for so many years. Tears flowed. "I'm sorry," was all she could think to say. Andi held her tighter and kissed her forehead. "You should be. Why didn't you tell me?" she asked gently. "It happened right before we escaped. Other things seemed more important. I thought it would come up in the medical exams, but even the doctors didn't see or say anything. I think I made myself believe it didn't happen and somehow completely forgot it. Then John pressed there. It all just came back, like it was happening all over again. Even as she spoke, it replayed in her mind. She closed her eyes and pressed her palms against them, trying to shut out the memories. It didn't work. She rubbed her face to self-soothe before continuing. Then, during the procedure at the doctor's office, my body replayed the pain. The probe they inserted in me wasn't that big, and the pain I felt wasn't from what they were doing. I felt his hands on my hips digging in, fire stabbing me there. My lower part of my back felt like it was breaking. I thought I was going to pass out. His breath was on her head. She was so small when it happened. He was grunting. The sound echoed everywhere. She didn't understand why he was hurting her. Her eyes shut tight, trying to make it all go away. Now she understood. After the technicians left, the emotions hit. Poor John, he just held me, which was perfect. He's so perfect. How is he so perfect? Andi chuckled. "I'm glad you approve of him." So the trauma was so intense it broke into 3 parts. Emma nodded in her arms. She remembered holding Andi through several similar events. It varied what order, but it was always 3. Physical pain, memories like watching a movie, then emotions. Andi's trauma was so bad there were still several years of her earlier life she still had no memory of at all. For that reason, Christian insisted that either him or Emma be with her at all times. Emma's trivial little issue seemed tiny in comparison to what Andi had been through. Another reason why she didn't say anything. "I feel like such a pansy acting like that after everything you've been through." Andi kissed her forehead again. "I'm sorry I made your pain seem small. It's not. Everything we went through at that center, nobody came through it unscathed." Andi was running her hand through Emma's hair, the way Emma did for Andi after several of her episodes. Emma smiled. "That feels really nice." Andi smiled. "I know." They talked together for the rest of the afternoon, cried together. It was like old times before she married Christian. The familiarity was comforting, which helped her ragged nerves and unpredictable, uncontrollable emotions. They ate together and took a nap on John's bed. Turned out going through this was more exhausting than helping someone through it. Emma had only been familiar with the latter. They woke up right before Kim returned with Luke. Kim then left to spend the weekend at Jan's for their return to the fair. Andi and Emma played with Luke in John's room until John and Christian returned. Regardless of how awkward she felt with everyone seemingly focused on getting her through her issue, she was so happy to see John again. The few hours apart had been painful. Hopefully it didn't happen again for a very, very long time. Whatever she had to work through so she didn't have to go through this kind of day again, she would do it. Andi gathered Luke in her arms and carried him with her, greeting Christian with a lingering kiss and let him lead her to their car. Soon John and Emma were alone. Her own discomfort paled compared to how much she needed to feel his arms around her right now. From John's perspective, John had spent the afternoon with Christian working on his cases and talking over what he would need to do for Emma during the weekend. She was there on his bed, looking so vulnerable, and he replayed how she wept in his arms after the procedure at her appointment. He wavered. How could he do this? What pain would he be inflicting on her if he messed this up? She moved. He flinched. Would she run from him again? If he got between her and the door, would it even work without making what she was going through worse? She moved fast. He gauged her direction, but to his surprise, he didn't have to move. She was heading straight for him, her arms reaching for him. He tightened his arms around her, breathed in her scent, felt her curves. She was his, and she trusted him, even after what they had her go through that morning. She turned her face into his neck. I missed you so much. Her words melted his heart and tightened his body at the same time. His. She was his now, and that monster would have no part of her anymore. I miss you too, baby. Are you hungry? Her breath caught, starving but not for food. She pulled her arms that were around his neck, and soon her legs were vices around his waist again. Her mouth attacked his neck. The instant rush of blood she caused rocked his whole body. He turned and braced his arm against the wall. Her arms and legs were tight around him, letting him use his other hand to grab her hair at the back of her head and pull gently to take her mouth. He plunged deep. She groaned deep in her throat. Her hand moved to the back of his head and pulled him closer. How was she real? Everything he threw at her, she matched him. He could do this. She was his match. She wasn't afraid of him, trusted him. He would help her through this so that monster didn't have any of her anymore. This would be the last time they were intimate before they started the process of destroying the monster together. He worried about the hell she would face in the process. They needed each other, needed to connect, and he wanted it to last as long as possible. A quickie up against the wall, though one of his favorite ways, wouldn't do now. He carried her to the bed, intending to slowly undress her, but she went straight for his pants and dispatched his belt, button, and zipper with those talented, nimble fingers. Edited for content. Slow and gentle could wait for round 2. If she kept doing that the way she was, he'd be finishing this one early. Edited for content. He cradled her in his arms. They would rest, for now. He had everything he needed. He had talked to Christian and was as prepared as he could be. He still felt unsure, but he would do the best he could for her, would keep trying until they conquered this. He kissed her head. She snuggled into him. Auntie let me know a little of what Christian did with her when this particular issue came up. You'll edited me there? Her voice was soft and shaky. He flinched. Yes, but we'll take it very slow. I need to make sure you know it's me. Christian said you'll have flashbacks, and I need to go slow until you know it's me and not him. You mean the monster? She called him the same thing he did. He was a monster they would destroy together. You're really big. The statement caught him off guard. What, Emma? You're edited. It's really big. If we hadn't been intimate more than once before the first time I saw it, I would have freaked out. I would have never been brave enough to edit it. I'm trying not to be a baby about it, but it has me really nervous. He took a deep breath. He needed to be careful not to hurt her. He'd gotten a range of age sizes to stretch her gradually. If she was nervous now, maybe they should get started. She could be stretching while they rested. We'll take it slow. Make sure you're as comfortable as possible. By the time we do it, you'll be ready, I promise. Her arms tightened around his chest. She didn't flinch or pull away. She trusted him. Do you feel up to getting started? I've got some items that will help while we rest. She hesitated, but nodded. John slipped from her. Stay right here. I'll be right back. She laid back in the bed, snuggled in, and he felt her watch him as he walked into the bathroom. He had set the massage table out at the lowest height setting. Edited for content. He hoped they would make good progress this weekend, but Christian had warned him this would most likely be a marathon, not a sprint. Edited for content. He returned to the bed. She was there, wide-eyed, looking up at him. He reached for her, and she raised up to meet him. They walked in together. He sat down in the middle of the table and pulled her over his lap, both still bare. He started rubbing and massaging her lower back. During this whole procedure, let me know if you start to cramp and we'll stop until it passes. Do you understand? Yes. Edited for content. She stiffened. He used his other hand to massage her lower back. I'm right here, Emma. Don't leave me. Stay here. You're safe. I'm right here. He felt her relax under his hand. Edited for content. He took off the glove and rubbed her back and legs. All day he'd worried they were doing this too soon. Had they been together long enough for him to do this right? Did he even have the right to do this to her at all? All his fears disappeared the moment she threw herself into his arms that night. He had never seen any woman cry the way Emma had at her appointment, and he'd been the one that started the process that did that to her. Even after that, she hugged him, clung to him. He knew at that moment, no matter what he had to do or how hard it was, he would do it for her. He felt her flinch. Is it hurting? A little, she admitted. He felt her body tense. Edited. She turned her face into the massage table, hiding from him. Christian warned him about this. She was reliving something and pulling in. Pain or pressure in that area seemed to trigger it. Emma, what did you think of me the first time we met? The question was meant to pull her back, replace the event and the person with him and the time they had together. He felt the tension in her release a little as soon as he asked the question. She turned her face to the side so he could see her again. She had a weak smile. That's a slightly uncomfortable question while this is happening. He took a deep breath. He'd brought her humor back. Thank heavens. Just trying to pass the time, he quipped back. She chuckled and the rest of the tension left her body. Do you want the embarrassing, brutally honest answer that will probably make you never want to be intimate with me again, or can I give you a much cooler version that's far less humiliating? He smiled. Before I decide, how's your stomach? Not hurting anymore. Her voice was stronger. He could feel her with him more. Edited. Then you can tell me the cooler version. Edited. He didn't want to risk hurting her again and pulling in. Okay, cool version, go. She laughed, that magical sound. I thought you were cool, like cool and stuff. Now he laughed. Oh, so vague. That was a very cool response. He kept rubbing and massaging her, trying to concentrate on what he needed to do instead of how incredible her skin felt under his hands. Now the brutally honest answer. I thought I only had to give one, she complained teasingly. He checked. We still have some time, and since I can't imagine anything you could say that would make me not want to be intimate with you again, you have me very intrigued. She was quiet for a minute, but John didn't break the silence, wouldn't let her off the hook. What did she think that first time? The very first thing I thought when I saw you was I was going to marry you. John's hand paused. That admission rocked him, his whole world. She thought that? He was no one at the time, just some guy from the wrong side of the tracks whose father couldn't stand him and who was only going to state college. She was the only daughter of one of the most powerful families in the city, adored by everyone that knew her and given every opportunity in life. My next thought was that I was crazy and you'd never like me. How could you possibly think that? He really couldn't understand why she kept saying things like that. You were super hot college guy and I was super gawky brace face girl. The braces couldn't make you unattractive and gawky. Stealthy, fast, and zippy, I noticed, but not gawky. Yeah, my instant insane attraction to you kind of freaked me out. His hand started massaging her again. His white rabbit just made a lot more sense. And you started running? Mm-hmm. And I didn't stop till last weekend. You didn't stop. I learned I could intercept you. He was ridiculously proud of that fact. Yeah, I learned that too. I also learned my need to touch you overrules any and all other thoughts when I'm close to you. Her voice was still strong, even though he could tell she wasn't entirely sure she wanted to be saying the things she was admitting. He smiled and leaned over to be close to her ear. As did I, he whispered. She started to squirm. Is it hurting again? Yep, everything is moving and wants to get out now. Edited for content. Okay, I'm all set. You can go now. Her face started to twist as the urge overcame her. He sat at the edge of the massage table and held her hand. Edited for content. Really, John, you can go. I'm just going to be doing this, and you don't want to see this. The second round hit, and he rubbed her back through the next phase. Edited for content. Please, John, I want to be intimate with you again. Please leave while I still have the jit. Round 3. He continued to ignore and stroked her hair from her head all the way down her back, the move he knew she loved. After the third, she looked exhausted. He pulled her head to rest on his lap until she was completely done. She was a little shaky after. He pulled her over his lap again on the table. Edited for content. Is that okay? She was relaxed, not pulled in. He heard a faint, mm-hmm, and she moved slightly on the table. Was she falling asleep? He was pretty tired, too. He turned her over and gathered her in his arms. He turned off the lights on the way out of the bathroom and fell with her into the bed. He was delighted that she snuggled into him as she fell asleep. He kissed her head, uncovered them with the blankets. It had been an emotionally exhausting day, and she was pulling into him instead of away from him. So far, things were going pretty well. That was the last thing he thought before reality drifted away.